Yo, what is up, guys? Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. If you're new here, as always, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. Now, following Ryan Garcia's 7th round knockout of Luke Campbell this past weekend, there has been a lot of reaction to this performance. Varying reactions, some very positive, some in the middle, and some negative. Me personally, post-fight review, I was actually quite complimentary of Ryan Garcia's performance. To me, the narrative going into that fight, from a lot of people, not from me personally, but there were a lot of people who believed that Ryan Garcia couldn't really fight, and the first sign of crisis that he would fold. And we saw in that fight that that wasn't the case. And that was one of my reasons for giving him so much credit. I picked Ryan Garcia going into that fight. However, I did have question marks in regards to his heart, his dedication, and how he would react if something went wrong. And in that fight, he showed me that he had something about him. He had a bit of bottle, he had a bit of resilience, and ultimately he showed that he could fight, and he proved that he is a top 10 lightweight contender. I've always seen Luke Campbell as like a fringe contender, lower level of the top 10, that sort of area. And if you can beat somebody like that, in my book, you're a contender. I see Ryan Garcia at this point in time as a genuine top 10 contender. And all in all, I saw a lot of positives in his performance against Luke Campbell, specifically in regards to his mental makeup, you know, his ability to come back from a bit of a crisis, a bit of adversity, and ultimately go on to win the fight. Also, I was impressed with Ryan Garcia's ring presence, his physicality, his hand speed, his power, and his raw athletic ability. You know, I saw a lot of those aspects before the Luke Campbell fight, but he showed he can still use those attributes at a relatively high level, so I was also impressed with that. So all in all, for me, 22 years old, he showed a lot of positive signs against Luke Campbell. To me, Ryan Garcia is clearly a guy who can get a lot better. If he can improve his boxing ability, on top of his physical attributes, his hand speed, his power, his fighting instinct, I do believe there is a very good fighter in Ryan Garcia. I believe he's got the raw potential, and even right now, the kid is a relative threat in the lightweight division. However, I do believe we need to be careful of going overboard with Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia on paper looks great for boxing. He's got the look, he's got the fan base, he's got the style. If this guy is the goods, he's going to be a massive star in the sport. And I think a lot of people are longing for someone like Ryan Garcia to transcend the sport and cross over to the mainstream. He's got the potential to do that. However, in terms of pure skill set, he does still have a long way to go. And I do believe some people are being premature in crowning this guy the next king of the lightweight division and boxing in general. You know, when you look at the lightweight division, it's filled with quality in general. Teofimo Lopez, Vasily Lomachenko, those two names in particular, I would make significant favourites over Ryan Garcia. Then you've got guys like Devin Haney and Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, those guys still need to prove a lot in the sport of boxing, but skill set wise, I still believe those guys are a bit further ahead than Ryan Garcia. And guys like Devin Haney and Tank Davis, while these guys still have a lot to prove themselves, I do believe these guys are further ahead in their development as fighters in comparison to Ryan Garcia. I would still make Devin Haney and Tank Davis a favourite over Ryan Garcia in potential fights. Now, I'm not saying Ryan wouldn't have a chance, but based on pure skill set, I would favour the two guys I mentioned. And I have to say, when you look at Ryan Garcia's competition so far, Luke Campbell aside, it's been pretty weak. And to be honest, Ryan Garcia is a 22-year-old. He's still very young in the game. And I'm not really sure whether winning the WBC interim title is the best thing for him at this stage. I still believe he needs a couple of fights on the level of a Luke Campbell to prepare him for a high magnitude fight against a Devin Haney or a Tank Davis. Like I said, I know those two guys aren't exactly the most proven. I just feel their skill set's a little bit further ahead of Ryan right now. And to me, winning that WBC interim title, it basically lends an expectation that Ryan Garcia has to fight one of those sort of guys in his next fight where maybe he's not ready for that step up. I'm not really sure the WBC interim title right now is right for Ryan Garcia. You know, I mean, if I was like managing Ryan Garcia or promoting him, I wouldn't chuck him in there with a Devin Haney or a Tank Davis. Quite frankly, I would throw him in there with someone like Nakatani, who recently beat Felix Verdejo. Nakatani right now is probably a top 10 lightweight contender. You know, he knocked out Felix Verdejo and he gave Teofimo Lopez a real hard fight. If I was managing Ryan Garcia or trying to develop him, that's the sort of fight I would have him take next. You know, I think that would be good for his development as a fighter. But ultimately, I'm not a manager, I'm a fan. And he has the WBC interim title. So if you're holding that title, the next step is Devin Haney. And there's no excuse not to take that fight. But quite frankly, as an outsider looking in, just based on the skill set, based on the boxing ability, etc., I'm not sure Ryan Garcia is ready for that fight right now. I know you may say, well, Luke Campbell's better than anybody Devin Haney's fought. That is true. But when these two guys meet in the ring, skill for skill, does that really mean anything? Ryan Garcia's resume is not going to win him that fight, his skill set is. And for me, Ryan Garcia still has a lot of holes in his game, technically. He's extremely flat-footed. He backs up with his chin in the air. He drops his right hand far too regularly. Sometimes he'll lead with power shots without really setting them up. You know, not really great at setting traps. Yeah, he's powerful. Yeah, he's quick. Yeah, he's extremely explosive. But does he have the subtleties to go with that? Does he have the boxing acumen to really make that super effective at the highest level? I'm not entirely convinced right now. However, again, this is not a hit piece on Ryan Garcia. I picked Ryan Garcia to beat Luke Campbell when a lot of guys said this kid couldn't fight. I believe Ryan Garcia can fight. I believe there's talent there. However, I still believe he's a bit green. And I would make him an underdog against those guys I mentioned. Obviously Lomachenko and Teofimo Lopez, that goes without saying. But even guys like Devin Haney and Tank Davis, I would make those guys a favourite over Ryan Garcia right now. But who knows, maybe I'm wrong. Ryan Garcia is surrounded by good people. He's in a great training camp. He's got a great trainer. He's got all of the ingredients to be a very good fighter. He's got the athleticism, the hand speed, the power, the dedication. When do you see Ryan Garcia get fat outside of a fight? Never happens. He's got all of the ingredients to be a very good fighter. He just needs to be honed, trained correctly, and I believe he can go a long way. However, right now, I do believe some of the hype is a little bit over the top, but at the same time, I do understand why people are very excited about Ryan Garcia. He can be that crossover star. He's got the appeal, he's got the style. I want him to do well. Ryan Garcia has grown a lot on me as a fighter in the past sort of 5-6 months or so. I actually really like watching this guy fight. So, I'm not downplaying him. I'm not preying on his demise. I'm not hating all of that nonsense that gets thrown at you if you're critical. I'm just giving you my genuine opinion on Ryan Garcia right now. But yeah, I want you guys to share your opinions below. Tell me what you think. What do you make of Ryan Garcia? Where do you see him at right now? Can he beat a Tank Davis? Can he beat a Devin Haney? Is he that good already? Or do you believe he needs more seasoning? And where ultimately, how far do you think he'll go? Share your thoughts below. Beanie Guy Del Boy. Peace.